Today we're going to do some serious garage organization work, and I'll show you what I mean. So this is probably the business side of my garage, where I have my workbench, toolbox, things that I more frequently find myself using. We have a little short upright freezer. I've just got a whole collection of things. My bike sits on this side. Where I'm filming from actually is where our car stays parked. I do get a car in the garage, so that's probably a good thing that I at least have enough space to get one car in the garage. But we're going to tackle this today, and it's going to be a process of, first of all, just literally clearing everything that you see in front of you there, clearing that out, bringing it over to the other side of the garage, and just creating a sort of a clean slate to work with. Then we're going to go through and figure out what I can purge, because I know I have a ton of stuff that, quite frankly, I just don't need, that I'm not using. And I'll either toss it in the garage sale or something to that effect. And then we'll start putting everything back together. I don't expect it to be radically different. I am going to move some things around. I do have a couple of shelves in this box here, so I'll be doing an unboxing of that, installing a couple of additional shelves. And that's so that I can have a place to set my little air compressor. I use this mostly for just airing up tires and things of that nature. And I've got a couple other things that I want to be able to use the shelves for, but I've got my work cut out for me. So stick around and we'll see how this goes.
So one of the things that I have found that always helps me to get started on a project like this is to just try and get everything out of your way. As I said earlier, start with a clean slate. And so that means taking everything that you see in front of you here. You can see I'm starting the process right now, and literally just taking everything down and pulling it over to the other side of the garage. I literally want a blank wall. An exception might be my freezer here. No real need to move that. That's probably going to stay pretty much where it's at. But in any event, it's just a good way to get started. So if you're looking to do that, that's what I would recommend. Start to finish, it took me about between 35 and 40 minutes or so to clear out this entire side of the garage. So it doesn't take that long, and you'll be amazed at the things that you find that you had forgotten you had stored on a shelf or something. I was just shocked. I couldn't believe it. But in any event, yeah, about 35 or 40 minutes to do this, to get to the point where we could start to really figure out what we want to do next.
Okay, so we have pretty much everything moved away. I've left my freezer there for the moment. It needs to remain plugged in, and it's easily moved. So I just figured I'd leave that there. I'm undecided on this piece. I may move this entire pegboard system and tools. I've got to sort of survey my situation here and see where I want to put things. The problem area is this space right here. So I have this kind of cubby space, cubby hole, to the right of my HVAC system, air handler. And I had a shelf there, but I was always struggling to get things in and out of the shelf, especially anything that was below the top of this surface right here. So I've got to figure out a smarter way to take advantage of this space. So I'm going to be doing that. One good thing is when I did my floor here, I had I don't remember why at this point, but I was unable to run my tile all the way against the wall there. So I'll be taking care of that. And so for now, yeah, that's it. And all I got to do is kind of draw up some plans, figure out where I want to place things, and I'll bring you back as soon as I have that done.
All right, so here we go. I'm actually not repairing, but I am filling in this gap where my floor stopped short of the wall. And this is a really nice product, actually. I'll put a link down in the description to the company that makes this flooring. There's no glue required or anything. It's a very, very heavy duty vinyl type of, I'm saying vinyl, I think it's a different material, but it's just fantastic, and it just all kind of snaps together. Use a rubber hammer to put it together. Couldn't recommend it enough.
All right, we're gonna unbox our new shelves here and see what we have, and then we'll figure out where we want to install them. All right. It looks like we have an installation template, which is going to come in really handy. So we will set that aside. We have some pretty sturdy brackets that are actually welded and are built to accommodate 3 fasteners here, mount them to the wall. So we'll set those aside. Looks like we have 4 of these brackets. Okay. And we move on to the next layer here. And this looks to be one of the shelves. Oh, actually, there are, that's one shelving unit. Well, there's actually more shelves here than I expected. I thought there would be just 2 of these. And in fact, there are 4. So there's our 4 shelves. We have 4 more brackets. Looks like we have some instructions. Should be fairly straightforward. Okay, a bag of hardware, and it looks like we've got some, yeah, these are substantial. I won't open those up just yet, but it's substantial anchors and lag screws, so that's going to be appreciated. A little bit more hardware here. Looks like they include actual tools, and we have more, those are actually bolts, and we have some nut hardware here. And actually it includes a little level that we can put on the shelves. So it's a nice touch that they included that. I'll probably use my own tools for that, but nonetheless, if you're someone that doesn't have a level handy or the tools, there you go. They've provided you with everything that you need. I think now we'll figure out where we want to mount the shelves. We don't have to mount them all in the same place. So we may distribute them based on what I want to do to improve the organization here in the garage. Okay, so here's what I've decided to do. I'm going to leave this pegboard exactly where it was located before. I am going to clean that top shelf off, although the top shelf will remain. I'm just going to repurpose it for things that are less frequently used. And as far as this space over here, I'm going to use 2 of my new shelves, which I just did the unboxing for a little bit ago. And I'm going to mount 2 of those shelves. I think 2 of them. We'll see. Maybe 3. Right over here in this space. It's just the right width. And that is wood, which is going to make it a lot easier to mount them. And then I'm going to leave this whole lower space open so that I have a place to put my pressure washer and a couple other bulky things. I'll be able to get to them easy enough. But that way I won't end up with this situation where I've got shelves going all the way down to the floor and then having a hard time getting in there and getting to things. So I think that will work out. And I've the shelving that was in that space, I've got it to the right of the pegboard now. And then I've moved the toolbox to the right of that. We're going to leave the freezer right there, although I have shifted it to the left a bit. And then we're going to work on this space over here as well. I think I'm going to put a couple of the other shelves, new shelves, over in this area. I may do 2 of them side by side, or I may do one above the other. I haven't decided that yet, but and I'm actually getting rid of, you may have recalled from the earlier video, there was a chrome shelf that was on wheels. I'm actually getting rid of that, and which is not going to be a problem because I'm able to purge enough things. And you'll see my purge pile when we get to closer to the end of this. All right, so we're going to use our template here, and we're going to get it level. Now I'm just eyeballing the height here. I'm not real picky about it, but you can see I've got things level. right, so one of the things that I'm going to be doing here is I'm going to be completely reorganizing this entire pegboard system here. I may have mentioned that already, but I've got things that are hanging up here that I rarely use. So we're going to be putting those in a different location, just organizing those a little bit differently, free up a little space so we don't have quite as much clutter. I've already shown you this shelf here. Another thing that we're going to do is I removed this unit, which is for my drills, and I'm going to be taking advantage of this space just to the right of my air handler, which is just kind of a dead area there, but it's also really close to an outlet, and I need power close to this unit here because I have battery chargers in that will sit on this. So I'll be putting that here, and then so that'll take care of that. And then I need to remount these units. I did a video on this, and I previously had these. These are for organizing spray cans and spray bottles. So I don't know where I'm going to put these yet, but I am going to be obviously relocating them because I used to have them just to the right of the pegboard. I now have this shelf, which I'm going to be repurposing. So we'll come to that here in just a little bit, and we'll figure out a proper place for that. Okay, so there we go. We've got 2 more shelves mounted. I may mount another right across this way. I haven't decided yet, but that worked out perfect. All right, so I've decided I am going to mount my second shelf. It's over here in this sort of to the left of the workbench in this cubby area, but I'm going to mount it on this wall. So I've got this shelf mounted on the back wall of my garage, and then I'm going to mount the other one on the side wall. And the reason for doing that is just to give myself a little bit more space to get into this cubby hole between the bench. again, it's just all about trying to optimize this particular odd space that I have. So let's get started drilling our holes. I've got them marked already. We'll go ahead and drill those out, put our anchors in, and get our shelf mounted. And there we go. We now have officially mounted all 4 shelves. That's going to work out really nice, actually. I think this is going to give me a little extra space to the left of my workbench. I may use half of this as just kind of a workbench extension. Obviously, it's not level with the workbench, but that was intentional. I wanted a little bit of height here so that I had a little more room underneath if I needed to stack one more layer of my storage totes. So there we go. One thing about drilling in concrete is it makes a great big mess. And I can show you here what I'm talking about. That's all just concrete dust from drilling. So I'm going to have to get the vacuum out. And there you are. I'm gonna have to get the vacuum out and clean that up. So let's do that next. All right, so I've completed the garage reorganization. It's not perfect, but I think I've got it things in a little bit better place than when I started. So I'm going to turn you around. We're going to start. What you're seeing behind me is the side of the garage that really didn't need any work. It's also the side of the garage that we park our car on. So, but I'm going to turn you around and show you the more the business end of the garage and what I've done, and I'll explain a few of my techniques or approaches to organizing things, okay? All right, so we're gonna start over here. This is that pesky corner to the right of our air handler that was really giving me fits before, and I used to have a shelving unit. That shelving unit has been moved out, and as you saw from earlier, when I was mounting some of these newer shelves, I've been able to mount them in such a way that it's made this space more usable. So I have one shelf there lined up along the back wall. I actually moved my drill organizer shelving unit over to this wall as well. Down below it, I have my chargers. And then this other shelf I mounted perpendicular to the shelf above it. And that's just to give me a little bit more room between the workbench and the side of this basically a wooden box that the air handler sits on. That's actually the return air. And the reason why it comes over so far is to accommodate the return air vent that is inside the house. But you can see now I have space where I can roll this is my little cart for detailing cars. I can roll that in and out really easy. I used to have these totes up on a shelf, and it was really, I seldom ever get into these totes. They have a few things in them. I've got light bulbs down in one of them. This one here on top is full of painting paraphernalia, that sort of thing. I have a toolbox that's kind of a spillover toolbox that you see there. Less frequently used kinds of tools than that, but it's still fairly easy to get to. And then if we look at my pegboard, I did a little bit of reorganizing here. I thinned it down just a tad bit. Again, I only wanted to have up on this pegboard what I'm frequently using, things that can just be within easy reach. So I have various types of pliers, my screwdrivers. I have some other here on the shelf, just odds and ends, tape measure. Again, just things that I'm constantly reaching for, constantly in need of. And decided to put this old antique radio in a box. So I pulled that out, have that set up here. And so, yeah, that's it. And I have a few tools up on top here. Again, these are less frequently used tools, like a tile cutter. I do have a router and a big power chisel and a sawzall up there. And then I call this my hardware store. So what I have found just over the years is saving screws, all kinds of various hardware that I come across, whether it comes as part of something that I've purchased or whatever, or just things that I go to the hardware store and purchase and have left over. I organize them in these bins. I used to try to use those little drawer style, and some of you may actually use those where you have a whole bank of little small drawers and you can label each one individually, have one size screw in one drawer, one size in another drawer, that kind of thing. That just drove me crazy. I don't have the patience to organize things to that degree of detail. So what I came up with, and this is actually a method that I borrowed from my father and my father-in-law. They both use this method and it works really well. And that is to just use these bins. So for instance, assorted wood screws. If it's a wood screw, it just goes into this bin. Down below it, I have some more screws here. These there's a few wood screws there, but it tends to be like screws for screwing into threaded receptors and that kind of thing. A box of nails. I have some assorted hardware that you can see here. I have a box for electrical items. It's everything from faceplates to outlets, you name it. I even have a plumbing box that I keep things in. I have a box with glue. I have another one there for picture hanging hardware. I have an irrigation system in my yard, so I've got a lot of odds and ends for the irrigation system there, tape, floor protectors. And this is a new one. It actually has boxed or screws that are in plastic containers. I'm just out of room in that one, so I had to go to a bigger one here. So anyway, that works really well for me. And I'll show you something pretty cool here. If you need to find a screw, you're probably thinking, well, geez, you got to dig through the box. You'll never find anything. I'll show you my tip for how I handle that. All right, so this is how I handle finding screws in that. Rather than try and rummage through the bin itself, which would be kind of a challenge, sometimes I can open this up and find what I want right away. But as you can see, it's just everything's just piled in there, which is perfectly fine. I like it that way. Here's what I do. I have a pretty large dustpan. And when I'm ready to go through and try and find something in this box, and this could be for any of the storage containers that I have and whatever is in them, I just pour everything out, just like that. And it makes it a lot easier to go through it. I can just go through until I've found what I'm looking for. And then when I'm done, the cleanup is not so bad. So there we go. That tends to work for me. It may not work for you, but if you struggle to organize hardware, then that might work for you. So again, I just use a dustpan. I have a smaller one as well. You don't necessarily have to use a big one that way, but that definitely works for me. So, okay, so besides my hardware store and having everything arranged there, and by the way, that's the shelving unit that used to sit over in this little corner. Definitely, it's got far more utility being more out in the open here. Below that, I have a number of power tools that I can easily get to. I have a Dremel tool, I have a jigsaw, just various things, circular saw, and other types of tools in that. So anyway, that one shelf is, again, that is my hardware shelf, and obviously partly tool shelf, and that works pretty well. Of course, I have the Craftsman toolbox here, and by the way, that is an authentic Craftsman. That is not one of these newer types that are just branded Craftsman. This thing is probably close to 40 years old now. In any event, and then I decided to leave my compressor on top of the top of the freezer, I should say. It actually works pretty well. I mounted 2 more shelves over here, and I've got gasoline. I've got some other bulkier items here. I've got a portable table saw, and some things of that nature. And so that works well, kind of keeps that on one end of the garage. Now, you may remember there was a big chrome shelf here. There it is. I've completely emptied it. And what's interesting is I have just as much room now as I did when I had this big chrome shelf in. And the reason being is because of these 4 new shelves. But the advantage of these 4 new shelves is that each shelf's individual and can be mounted separately. So I was able to place those in a little bit smarter way to get things kind of up and off the floor. So this shelving unit will be going bye-bye, as well as, and I talked about the need to purge. Everything that's in this big pile here is part of my purge pile. Hopefully you maybe have gotten an idea or two in organizing a garage. It has taken me quite some time to get to this point. I'm pretty happy with it. I'm going to leave it pretty much like it is. So that's it. I hope everybody enjoyed the video. If you made it this far, thanks for sticking around. And if you liked the video, give me a thumbs up. And if you're not subscribed, please subscribe. It costs you nothing. And then we'll see you in the next video. Stay well, stay healthy, and we'll see you around.